So we're here with the awesome Mastermilo, and if you haven't heard of him, today you will. He's got a ton of really cool projects and sort of like homemade engineering, homemade restoration of some really interesting vehicles. And he's agreed to let us take a tour of his workshop. I'm excited to be here. So you have some really cool projects, and I like all tanks, but you go really in depth to sort of restore and rebuild and bring them back to life, and it's a fascinating journey through some things. So
yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot about a few vehicles.
I know a little bit about a lot.
Yeah, well, indeed. Well, let's have a look then.
Oh, let's go. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, this is my latest asset.
Okay.
That's also a big advantage as being a YouTuber. I got this one, a viewer had this standing, and they sent me an email if I would like to have it.
Really?
Yeah, of course this one is beyond restoration, but I think you won't believe it, but this one actually drives.
Really?
Yeah, it just runs and drives. When we this is the first vehicle we picked up which moved without any repairs on its own power on the truck.
Awesome.
So,
holy moly.
Yeah, so I'm removing all the bodywork, and I just want to add the roll cage on top of it, just for fun. Because yeah, the collector value of this vehicle is, well, not that. It's like 10,000 euros. You can buy one which is in pretty good condition. So, but it's just well, good occasion to make something fun out of it.
Is the roll cage kind of, I've noticed the roll cage on some of your other vehicles.
Yeah.
Is a roll cage kind of like your thing?
Yeah, I like that. I like building buggies as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a great off-road vehicle. So it would be a nice project, I think.
Yeah.
But of course, the engineering part in this vehicle is also really interesting, because it's a tracked vehicle, but the steering mechanism is completely different than on just a regular tank or other tracked vehicle. It just doesn't use any brake system or something to steer it. It's articulated.
Huh.
So it really needs both of the cards to corner it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so if you look over here, just like the gearbox, yeah, there it just looks like a gearbox from a normal 4x4, and it has a prop shaft going to the front to a differential, and also one to the back, and here's a differential as well.
So it works in tandem.
Yeah, indeed. You see that's the pivot, and you see on the side there's just a hydraulic cylinder.
How funny! Is it fun?
Yeah.
Is it fun to mess? This looks fun.
Yeah, indeed. I like this design, and I always wanted only the tracks maybe to build a tracked off-road vehicle out of it. I saw this video on the internet about someone who did this, and that looked so much fun. So, well, when I got the email if I wanted to buy this vehicle, of course I said, yeah, of course I want it. So, and then I even didn't know it was a runner. So we were like, yeah, well, already we can fix this. The engine is just a 2-liter Volvo engine, that like used in the Volvo Amazon, just a car.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, we have some work on it. It's just really rusted. You see some parts we took off. Yeah. There's no owner on this for restoring, so that's the nice thing to just take down the parts and make something fun out of it.
Yeah, just for fun.
Yeah.
So outside of the roll bar, what else are you gonna add to this thing?
I have many bucket seats. Okay. I got them with the T55.
Okay.
These are the polyester bucket seats. So I wanted to, I have 8 of them. So I wanted to add 2 at the front and 6 at the back, so I can take passengers.
Okay.
For off-roading. So that is, I think that's nice.
Oh, fun. Okay, great.
Yeah, excellent. Well, it's still waiting outside. I was just only taking off scrap metal to hand in, because the metal prices are way up high now.
Right.
So. Good and simple tension mechanism there. Just this is just tensioner. Also interesting to see it just has air tires on it.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it's really lightweight. I think even the sprockets, yeah, it's also with rubber.
Oh, look there.
Yeah, so it has a really quite low, I say, quite travel. The original vehicle is amphibious.
Really?
I don't think it's watertight anymore now.
No,
So.
you know, I would make. I think it's a safe guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So I'm not trying to get this amphibious again. It is, I just want to take off as much as possible and only add the the roll cage part to to have fun with it.
Awesome. Very cool.
Excellent.
Okay.
Oh, well, let's go to a more serious business then.
Okay, good.
It's a Type 69. They captured this during the first Gulf War in '91, and then it has been on display for a long time.
Yeah.
And well, as you know, in the UK, it's an island. They don't have really great weather all the time, so it was, and also the sea air. So the salt, so it was beyond repair, in fact. But that's good if you make YouTube videos about this kind of projects. Then it is interesting to build something like this. We had to make a lot of new components. For example, the complete fenders is completely rebuilt. Like this one is already damaged. But all this and also this. We all had this made new because it was, well, one side they already took off. That was completely gone because it was too dangerous to, well, transport it. And the other side we cut off in the UK before transporting it to the Netherlands because we were also afraid it would just come off. It was this bad. It was more rust than something else. So I used as much original components as possible. Like these are original, but these plates are all new.
When you make them new, do you do them here?
Well, some components I make new myself out of just parts I have around. Parts like these. Of course, I'm an engineer. I worked as engineer for 10 years. So this one I draw them and then the production drawings are sent to a company nearby and they can laser cut and also do the bending. And then just make them again. Yeah.
When you start the process to find, say, the original parts, because as you mentioned, you try to do everything original, right?
Yeah.
How do you go about that process? Kind of as a YouTuber, it's going to be a little bit different than a regular private owner on their own. What are some of your resources for finding original parts?
Yeah, finding original parts is pretty hard because this is Type 69. I was thinking it's a lot of components are the same like T55, but it also has components which are different. So those are extra hard to find. I'm still looking for the original gun controller, for example. I try to find components at, of course, just the regular way, like the parts dealers. And also, I try to find museums to see if I can get any stuff there. But that's also difficult because museums only want to trade parts with other museums most of the times. But on the other hand, as a YouTuber, which is restoring vehicles, you also have this informative role like a museum. I try to show people a lot about these vehicles and learn them stuff, and also I'm bewaren, preserving vehicles like this. Yeah.
Sure. Cool. Do you ever intend to take this to any of the shows that you hear about, like around either that museums do or private, or like what are your kind of plans with this thing?
Of course, the plan is the process of restoring the vehicle and making videos of it. This is my main goal. If the vehicle is finished, I'm planning to maybe organize a show myself or go to a show, well, where they want to have me. So,
right.
Yeah.
Have you received any invitations in advance? Like, for example, to go back to Bovington with it for a Tank Fest as a private owner?
No, not yet. No.
Not yet, okay.
But
Yeah,
of course,
maybe
at
something you
Bovington
do.
they have, definitely. At Bovington, of course, they have several Type 69s in original condition, which even have the graffiti on them. So, of course, I have been researching the where this vehicle came from exactly, but I'm still not completely sure. I got in touch with these soldiers who, well, said they captured this vehicle and they had pictures when it was in Iraq. So I was really happy, but then I started looking at the details and then I noticed some differences on them. So I'm not sure if this is the correct vehicle. But maybe it's interesting to tell something about the Type 69.
Sure.
Of course, it looks a lot like the T55. This is, well, of course, that's pretty obvious. Because when China and Russian, both communists, of course, the Russians shared their plans for the T55 with the Chinese, and the Chinese built their own T55s, and they named them Type 59. So that's basically a copy of the T55. Well then, the Russian and the Chinese though, well, they didn't like each other anymore. So the Russians didn't want to tell the Chinese how to build, like for example, T62s. Well, and then they have this skirmish, and the Chinese, they captured the T62. And what they did is they reverse engineered this, and they used several features on this T62 on their Type 59. They didn't like the complete design because they were not convinced about all the advantages on this vehicle. So some of the components are Type 69. For example, the ventilation fan in the back. If you have the T55, you have the flat bottom. We can take a look, of course. This is a T55 based ARV. Well, and this is where you can tell if it's 55 or 69. You see, this is flat.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a straight plate. Well, and if you take a look at this one, it has the bulge for the fan. Well, if you see the rear of T-series, then you have the flat one and the bulge one. And the bulge one can be a T62 as well, because that has it as well. But it looks different at the back. You can tell the difference for 55 and 62, of course, by the gap on the road wheels. Because the gap for 55 or Type 69 is at the front, and for the 62 is more at the back. So that's, I think that has something to do with the weight distribution of the vehicle, because the 62 has a larger turret, so they needed more suspension bars at the front. So because otherwise the vehicle would be like this, so they distributed the road wheels different. So yeah. Also interesting things is this. These guards, the skirts. This is typical for the Type 69. The Type 69 came originally with these skirts, but if you look at the other Iraqi vehicles, the T62 for example, also the T55, they also have these kind of skirts. So Norinco is the manufacturer of this vehicle. They probably also sold these kits with skirts as after market fit as a kit. So you can see if you see T55 which was in Iraqi service, then you see these gaps in the fender are really crude cut with a torch and then just bolt these things on. Also funny to see if you have a T55 of course, it's the same length, but the length of the 62 is a little bit different. And they solved it by making a really stupid short skirt at the front. So that's you have all the same skirts, and then there it's just it's really flimsy construction. Well, of course we lost one at the front already, and the side is also one rubbing against the track, so they will be messed up. But that's good because well, it makes it more original. Sure. You see the videos about these vehicles moving into battle, then you see these things all dangling and flapping, and some of them are gone. So that's
authentic. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, this is also interesting. These armored cases. Of course, this is for it's standoff armor. You know about this, I think. You have the hollow charges which are damaged before hitting the actual armor. We had these, I made these again, they were missing, but the supports were on the vehicle, and I used a lot of pictures, and also I took with a caliper dimensions from model kit.
Oh wow!
Yeah, to reproduce these and to make them fit the original brackets. I had this company who made a 3D scan of the complete turret. And then we noticed something interesting. You could look up here. This is really funny. See, if you look over here, you see these damages.
Yeah.
This is where the infantry brackets were. You see, you have them here and here. So this is an infantry bracket. Normally T54 or 55 has these infantry brackets. So infantry can drive on top of the tank to fight and then hop off. The Iraqi, they torched them off. I even have the originals because they were inside the vehicle still. Oh. Yes, I'm not sure why they just took them off and kept them inside the vehicle, just like suddenly into battle, and they think, oh, maybe we need the brackets, let's take everything off and weld them back on. It's really stupid. But anyway, they have them. If you look at the Huffington Museum, they also have the 69, and they also have the brackets in one of the cases. So somehow they just kept them with the vehicle. But they welded the brackets for the cages on this vehicle. Well, and if you look at the top, you go over here, you notice the distance there is much smaller than over there. Right. So it looks like the turret was not completely facing forward when they welded these on. So these are
slightly shifted.
Yeah. Those are shifted. So this is it's interesting.
It makes you wonder how much variation there would be, you know, between the tanks if the same processes.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed, it's really, you can imagine that, well, they have, of course, a lot of these tanks, and they also needed to be fitted with these cages, so they were not really, well, paying attention to it. If it was there, it was fine. And also, really funny to see is this cage. You have the smaller cage there, and you notice this one is a bit higher. Right. Normally, this should be aligned with this one. Okay. This is how the Ringo design is originally. And that's before, this is because if you look at this, you notice there are no bars in it. Right. And that's if you turn the barrel facing to the back. But this one is on top of the driver's hatch. Oh. So the driver's hatch has to come up and then slide away. And yeah, the driver can go out from there.
I don't know. That's pretty small. Can he?
Yeah, maybe a
Yeah?
Chinese driver.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Might be able.
that is not the most accessible.
No. No, I think these ones, as a driver, you weren't very happy with it, because if the turret is facing like this to the side, then these one prevent the driver from escaping.
Right.
Of course, we also interesting on working on these kind of vehicles is that they have battle damage on them, and sometimes this is can be an issue. You see the cupolas, they can rotate, and in order to disassemble them, you notice there is a plug.
Yes.
This is where the steel bearings go in.
Oh.
So what you do is you put the balls in there and then you rotate it and then you can fill it up. And this is also of course the way if you want to disassemble, and you have to rotate it and you can take out the balls one by one. But this one, it wouldn't rotate, so we couldn't disassemble it. And it took us like 2 days to get it done. In the end, it turns out that there was a bullet which has made a large burr, and that prevented it from rotating. Yeah. And prior to the Gulf War, they had this Iraqi-Iran war from '82 till '88. They used these vehicles against each other. And they had the same vehicle, so it was more of a battle than more of a fight than the Gulf War, of course. And they also captured a lot of vehicles, the Iraqi forces. So it might originally have been purchased by Iran. So that's not sure, but it's possible.
Still hunting down the story of this.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find out. Yeah, it's hard to, of course they had a lot of these. They also have this book with a lot of pictures about captured vehicles. And also you have also fuel tanks on the inside.
Right.
And there you have these tanks which are used for storing the ammunition in. Because the liquid around the ammunition, it will cool down any debris from the armor or projectile. So that actually, is extra armor. Tracks are also interesting on this one. It took a lot of work to get those apart. Those were rusted. I had to replace a lot of track pins. We tried all kind of different ways of getting them apart. Like soaking them in WD-40 or even with hydrochloric acid. But the thing is, the pins, the rust around it, it becomes like stone. It's not like rust anymore. It's compressed that much because the new rust being formed compresses the old rust, and nothing will enter there. You cannot get any liquids between the hinge. So in the end, we used the same way as Robbie used for the nashorn. We saw this video about them heating them and using the air hammer, and that's in the end how we managed this as well. It was a lot of work, and we also made a device that starts moving the track link. So we had this installation, we fixed the track, and then only one link was coming out. Then we used like two large torches, then heat the link, and then at a certain moment then we switch on the electric motor and it starts moving this hinge, and then with the air hammer we hammered them out.
Wow.
And there were a lot of them which came out like in 4 pieces.
Shit.
Just because they were broken between the hinge. It was
Wow.
Can you imagine how stuck they were if you are going to torn a pin like this? So
Yeah.
that was crazy. Good thing Also, advantage of being YouTuber, I sold all the broken pins.
Oh, wow.
All sold by internet. Yeah.
Just to
But
fans.
with the certificate when which day it was removed and which
Oh, fun.
from which vehicle.
That's
So that's really nice to have because there's only a small amount available. Yeah. Interesting on the tracks, of course. If you look at this T55, you notice there's a different type of tracks.
Right.
These ones just have a steel pin, and these are. This also uses the mechanism same as the T34, that the pins are not secured. They can just go out on the inside.
Right, you have the bang block that.
Yeah, indeed. It presses them back in. There were some rings, there's a groove and a certain clip was around it, but those clips were all destroyed by the heat, of course. You can just bend them. So those were not, well, we couldn't save these, so they are without the clips now. So, but well, it doesn't come off. But you can see some of the pins are more to the inside than others, but they just are put back in by this bang block. And this one has this tracks with the rubber bushings. That's newer type. Interesting to see that the sprocket, because I first noticed that the sprocket on this one is on the outside of the track, and that was on the inside. So I first idea was that these tracks are more narrow maybe, but that's not true. It's the sprocket, the gear wheel. You see this is more wide there. That's also different. About the exhaust system, that's also interesting. This is also some part of Iraqi engineering, and I want to rebuild this. Of course, it's looking really nasty, but it's part of the history as well. This box that goes on the exhaust. The exhaust same as there on the T55. You see the cover.
Oh, yes.
We made those covers well to keep our walls white, because the Russian engines are not like the German engines. They use a lot of oil, and if you start them for short times, oil will go in the exhaust manifolds, and then if you start it, it just spits oil. Therefore we have these deflector plates, so it goes down instead of going to the side. But this goes instead of this deflector plate, and you see it has this cover. You can close. Over here probably were threaded rods with wing nuts, I think. And if you see over here, this is where steel tubes went to the front of the vehicle. I have seen pictures, also the one at Bovington has this system, and you see like just the grey tubes. It looks really bad. Yeah, it just should be there. And they go they go from the exhaust and they go to the front over here, and then they just use some kind of chain to keep them here, and then they go over the fender and they go down here. And probably I've seen all kinds of theories about this. One said it was for keeping the thermal profile low because the exhaust, but that makes no sense, because you have, of course, a lot of heat going from the engine cover, of course. But the best thing I've heard about it, and I think that's it, is of course the T-series. They have this smoke system. They call it hot camouflage, and then they spray diesel fuel into the exhaust manifolds, so that burns, and it gives a lot of smoke, even more smoke than this already does. And then they can just close the cover and they guide the smoke to the front of the vehicle, so you can make smoke in front of your vehicle. That's more used than on the side, I think. That's probably what they were planning to do. Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah, that's all. It's interesting to see how they modify their vehicles themselves.
Right.
So that's also part of the history. So that should go back on.
That's right. Yeah. So
A lot of people don't like it because it looks really ugly, but yeah. Well, we made a box like this with tubes going outside the workshop because we thought, well, maybe if we start it inside, then we can guide the smoke a little bit outside. That would be better, but it produces so much smoke that it just gets everywhere from the side, from the box. It doesn't even go to the tubes all. So yeah, this is the main gun. We are planning to assemble this within a couple of weeks, maybe next week, I hope. I had to do a lot of work on it. On the gun, not that much, but they destroyed the elevation teeth rack, so I had to weld some of the teeth over again. Yes, those are hard parts to get the originals. Target range vehicles, they want to keep the movement of the gun, because then they can practice different situations and then they move the gun. So.
That's cool. You guys can't. There's no way you guys could have a license to be able to have one that fires, would you?
No.
Under no circumstances, no.
No, for the smaller guns it's possible. We could have the like the Duska blank firing.
Okay.
Probably that should be possible, but like this one, it's impossible. In the States, you can. I sometimes speak to these guys from Battleground Vegas, and they even restore the guns. It's, interesting. Yeah, it's a pity. We cannot. I didn't even take the time to take it apart. It doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
So it's welded. They welded the barrel to the back part of the breech block. You can see.
Oh yeah.
In the UK, that's really stupid. The rules about deactivation they differ. And the UK they just cut up this piece. That's what's left of it. I salvaged all parts I could find from the bottom of the vehicle. It's also interesting to see that they added steel plates there to balance the gun.
I saw those also on active guns, so I think that might be factory.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's possible then.
I saw it in other YouTube videos.
Ah.
So it might be original.
So maybe we need to add more plates then.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because the breech is removed. Yeah, might be because of course they welded everything for moving the gun. So yeah. That makes sense then. Okay, good. Yeah, it might be that's going to be an interesting video.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was my excuse for buying that one, because I want to use that crane to mount the gun.
Cool. That'll be cool.
Yeah, definitely. That would be the field procedure. I made drawings for the hinges. You notice the threaded holes in at the front,
yes.
On the sides. Yeah, and at the top plate there, you also see threaded holes. Those are closed with plugs. If you see like the T-series, then you notice there are bolts, but in fact those are not bolts. They are only plugs to prevent the threaded hole. And this is where the hinge is bolted to. So what you do is they unbolt the third ring from the bottom, and then they lift the back of the third, so it tilts forward. Then they use supports for keeping the third in that position, and then they can lift the gun in. But of course, the center of gravity is right in the pivot, of course. So you cannot lift it completely in. So they have some kind of rail construction they can put on top of the wall in the top plate, and then they just roll it in position. So that's going to be an interesting operation.
Yeah, I'd say.
But it's better than just taking it off with a new crane and then with the forklift. And I like to try this field procedure.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
This is the exhaust manifold, and you see these lines going to there. This is the smoke, the hot camouflage. That's where the fuel is injected inside the manifold.
That's cool.
When I was disassembling the engine that came out of the Type 69, these nuts were all just gone, and the one at the bottom, well, not gone but rusted round. So I didn't have any possibility to get those off in a good way. So what I did, the exhaust manifold was messed up. So I just used the angle grinder and I just cut them there. And then I noticed a large amount of dust coming out of it. And it turns out these are double walled. So this is not the actual exhaust manifold. This is only cover. Inside is insulation, probably asbestos. So I would say anyone just don't use a grinder to cut these ones. Yeah, that's for isolation. And this is also what's really interesting about these vehicles. These are really good, really well engineered. There's no space around it anywhere. So the engine, you see, this is flat, and this is really for a reason. There's not a lot of space. If you have like an agricultural machine, there's a lot of space to work around. But this is really compact build, and therefore the isolation is of course important.
It's cool you get to bring along the camera and bring along the viewers for when you make these discoveries along the way. Like, if you were going to try to condense a tank restoration into like a half-an-hour show, you might miss that part, but it's against instruction because you can show people, hey, you can do this too. Don't grind those sections, you know, and be able to kind of share.
Yeah, you must be really careful, of course, with materials. Many of our viewers also say, "Oh, watch out with the paint. It may be Chrome 6," but on these ones, probably not. That was too expensive to use that, and it would be in better condition than the paint. This engine is also interesting, because this is a 6-cylinder version of the V12. It uses the similar crankshaft, and this cylinder bank and the head are same as on the V12. I was talking with the guys of the Stoek at Overloon Minitracks. And it turns out that Germans also did similar things with the V12 and 6-in line.
So we have another Eastern machine.
Yes, indeed. This is a Russian car, Soviet, of course, by that time. It's a GAZ M20. This one is a M21. I got this one, there's a little bit of a story with it. I got this one offered by someone. He said, well, we have a car in storage, and we don't know where the owner is, and we want to bring it to the scrapyard. It has to go. And then I said, yeah, well, that's really a shame. He said, well, we can bring it to you, then you can salvage some parts for the M20. And I said, well, no, you know what you do? If you want to get rid of the car, just bring it to me, and I will see if I can find the owner, because I felt sorry for such an old car just to be scrapped. And then, interesting, because I showed the car in the video, and in the weekend, police showed up over here, and then they said, yeah, we also watched your videos and we saw the vehicle. They said, do you know the license plate of it? I said, yeah, I have them inside of the vehicle. He said, if you want, we can track down the owner for you. I said, yeah, please do so. So they did. So that way I got in touch with the owner. They said, if we can find him, can he contact you? So, okay, yeah, of course. And then the owner, they called me, and the owner, he just thought the car was safely stored, but somebody else stored the car for him there, and that person was gone, and the owner thought the car was safe. And then he said, yeah, I want to sell this car, and I said, yeah, I might be interested in it. And then he named value. I said, oh no, wait, I'm not going to do that. It's like 10,000 euros or something like that. I said, no. I said, then you can pick it up. Okay, so he said, yeah, I have already someone who want to buy it, and he wants to get rid of it because he had no other place to store it. Of course, I know the license plate for it, and I think 2 months later I thought, oh, let's check the license plate, because you can see if the car has changed owner. And then I saw it was still on the same person's name, so I said, oh wait, I will call him and see what's he now. So I called him, and then he said, yeah, I still want to get rid of it. And then I did a bit, and then a little bit more. So that's, and then I bought it, so now it's here.
Awesome, the internals of this thing are gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks pretty good, but it has been restored, but not really great. But still a nice car.
Oh, what's your plans with it?
Yeah, I want to. It has insurance on it at this moment. I did some repairs, but it still needs some work. And then we'll drive it for a while, and then probably sell it again. Yes. Cool. Yeah, to make space for other projects. Yeah, and this is leftover of the Speedway. That's Ford. And these ones were really good for Speedway. Therefore, I like this car, this model, and I had several of these. Yeah, this one I had for a long time. It has a V6 engine in it, which I even use for Speedway racing.
Great.
So it's normally you use the engine from a road car to put in your Speedway car, but this is the opposite around.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so this engine has been used for Speedway. Yeah, I don't have any specific plans with it.
Kind of creations, and then it moves into the army vehicles, and then you get more army vehicles, and you get more army vehicles, so it's a completely different category of work. But,
yes, indeed.
But do you find it as compelling?
Yes, I like working on these vehicles, of course, and it's also interesting because if you build stuff like this, that's nice for a video. But then you have it, and as you can see, it's just sitting there because you can't do anything with it. You can't sell it. Vehicles like this, once restored, they have a certain value. So I can trade it and get a new project. So that's on the one side I have the YouTube business, and on the other end I have these vehicles which also have value. So
you would think that this would be a sort of niche vehicle, not observed or cared about perhaps by the West, but it gets like kind of a cult following. Soviet vehicles and army vehicles, they get more and more popular.
Yeah.
And so, because normally you think of a vehicle, you think it will depreciate in value, typically, unless it's a classic or something of interest, right?
Yeah.
And so now this sort of like what would likely be considered once kind of old junk, you know? This is like treasured by a growing community.
The best vehicles to own, of course, are the like main battle tanks.
Right.
And if you have a history of it, if you have any evidence it has fought actual battles, then it has history, well, the value increases a lot.
Right. And so with the vehicles that you are looking for, do you look for historical provenance?
Yeah, I hope to get enough money in the end to invest in maybe a Second World War vehicle. Well, of course, the value of such a vehicle is much higher, but also the engineering about these vehicles I prefer more. On these ones there's a lot of electrical stuff, and the World War II vehicles are more crude, of course. So that's I like I like the most on these vehicles is really the metal work and that, and not the electricity is not my kind of business.
Sure,
Yeah.
gotcha, that makes sense. So on this one, why get a BMP? What was the idea?
Well, of course it's because it was for sale. Yeah.
I understand this
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah, I just find a BMP is a pretty expensive vehicle because it's much lighter for comparison. This one is around 15 tons and the 69 is 37. So that's much more expensive to to move around. So if you want to go somewhere, you need a really big trailer, which also costs a lot of money.
Right.
All components are heavy. Also, the stress on components is higher, so components are easy to break. For example, I spoke to this Syrian guy, and he said he has been in active service with the T55. He said, well, if you go downhill, you have to be really careful, because if you go quickly downhill, the tank will slam its bottom to the ground, and then you can break the rear suspension bars, torsion bars. So both of the bars on the 69 were broken. They're not that easy to remove, of course. There's those spline shafts and you have to press them out. One I used grease for pressing out. It was interesting. I just welded a plate on top of the hole where the torsion bar was in, and then I mounted the grease nipple and then just used grease to pump it out. You can create a lot of force with just a normal grease gun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on this one being slightly, like you mentioned, so there's less mass, less wear.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be a less complex project.
Yeah, that's not completely true. Of
No,
course,
but it's in
everything
concept,
is
right?
still
It's gonna
there.
be- yeah.
Everything's still there.
Right.
Also, a lot of hydraulics. The T55 series has rods that control the steering mechanism, for example. That's all mechanics. It uses a system of band brakes and clutches to change gear ratios between the gearbox and the introduction. There's this steering hub that does this. But that's all mechanical. And on this one, it's also hydraulic. So it has this bike type of steering wheel, and that's connected with levers to the gearbox, and that's all hydraulic.
Interesting.
Of course, the driving experience of a thing like this is really. The steering guy said it's like driving a cab. It drives really smooth, and the 55 is really crude.
Right.
So it sticks and pretty heavy. Although both of those have steering assist.
Okay.
So they have hydraulic steering assist, so that makes it better. And also for the clutch, if the hydraulic clutch assist fail and you have to move the vehicle in tight spots, so you have to use the clutch a lot, and you feel your leg. That's not fun. That's not nice.
Right. So on this one, so it's get this back to running, and then maybe would you want to try out the amphibious capabilities in this one as well?
Yeah, I would love that, but then we really have to make sure all the covers are there.
Right.
But it has several bilge pumps inside of it, so it's normal for water to enter the vehicle, but it also takes it out.
Right.
And also, good thing is I've built an amphibious vehicle before, several. On top of there is also a home-built vehicle, but that's a small one. But I also converted a regular road car to be amphibious, and it works out pretty good.
Okay.
But of course, I calculated the weight distribution and where to add flotation to the vehicle, and well, the calculations told me how to do it. But it looked pretty weird, so I was thinking it would sink maybe. So I used this large nylon rope with an empty jerry can. So if it would sink, then it would be a buoy to see where the vehicle is.
Right.
Because once on the water, you can't find it anymore. So
That's fun. I think it's so cool to see. Again, because normally when I'm going places, it's like to museums or private collections, and it's really focused on usually one kind of thing. But then you have some variety. You have your ARV here. You have your BMP. You have an entire Korean battle tank here. But then you also have like your Volgol.
Yeah.
The amphibious vehicles, these sort of projects, and I think it's really cool that you have some understanding from your own home builds that you can use to then, as you restore or repair these, kind of think with
Yeah,
things
definitely.
or things like that you could add.
And also the speedway driving has been of good help, because I used to drive the demolition derbies on a tarmac banked oval with concrete walls around it. You could destroy cars by running into them. You drove around 4 races on a day. After the day, the car was just scrap. But between the races, you had time to repair your vehicle for the next one, and then you have to be really inventive about thinking something out, getting your car back on the track. You're not able to do the best repair because that simply would take too much time, or you don't have the equipment available to do so. So you have to be inventive to solve something out. And that's also comes good use when working on this project. For example, make a lot of things like this. There's also a special wrench for removing the wheels. And even one of the things I'm a little bit proud of, I'll see if I can get to it. This is a no BMP manual, so I'm not sure if anyone knows about this. But this is for pressing back on the road wheels for the BMP.
Okay.
Of course, they have some device which is pretty complicated, but this one works really good. And as you can see, I have the 2 parts here, and they have this. This is a similar construction as in a bike steer. So if there is a bolt at the top of the steering handle,
Right.
and if you undo this, you can shift the height, right? So what it does, the shafts are hollow, so you can put this in the shaft, then you tighten this nut. So this one, these parts slide to the outside, so it presses itself inside of the shaft, so it can slide out. And then with this nut, I press the wheel on.
That's crazy.
So that's a really easy thing, and something I also make myself. But we had to use it a lot, so it has been tested pretty well, because I had an issue with the seals. The road wheel hubs on these vehicles are lubricated with grease, so you have grease nipple. Of course, the grease, as I told before, it built up a lot of pressure, so it can force parts out. Now, well, the seals I used were wrong. They had a dust lip. You have just the normal seals, which have a direction. From one side, fluid can go through, and the other side it won't, because the lip will close on the shaft. But with the dust seal, it also works the opposite way. And if you grease the wheels, what you want is that the grease will go out at the back of the wheel. That's how it works. But because of these seals, the grease could not go out, so the seal was pressed out, and it was compressed against the hub, so the wheel was stuck as soon as we used grease in it. So we had to remove several of these wheels. The tool has been tested over and over again. Yeah.
You have a patent on it.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think so.
A special BMP tool.
Maybe, yeah.
No, but that's fascinating. I think that's super cool. Like, again, when you have, as you mentioned, you've had a channel with your projects and with your, like, these sort of engineering fixes and your main, like, the fun for so long, but all that background kind of comes together to be able to problem solve. Like, I would be curious to see other people with BMP projects, to see how they would have gone to solve the same problems. And I think it's fascinating, and I love that you'd be able to bring your viewers with you to be able to see, like, okay, wait, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
I have an idea.
I think
you know?
many people just follow the book. They try to get the original book, and then use the original tools to to get it done.
Yeah.
But I also like to watch to it as on a different perspective and see if I can make something else if I think that's easier.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Though.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, over here with more tools. The large yellow frame is interesting.
That's the main battle version, made of battle tank version of the other two.
Yeah, indeed. That one is for the sprocket of the 55.
Oh.
Yeah. You can see there are more pieces welded to it because it was not strong at first.
Right.
Not strong enough. But this one, this frame is a lifting frame for the T55 engine. Because the gantry crane we have, it doesn't have that much height. There used to be a ceiling in here, and the gantry crane is we made it as high as possible without removing the ceiling. But then the lifting height was almost it was almost not enough. So we made this one to get the hook of the crane between the cylinder banks, so we could lift the engine as high as possible, because you have to lift it in, of course, so it has to go over the side of the vehicle, the back plate. So
all sorts of different challenges make themselves available for you.
Yes.
All of a sudden, but that's super cool. Again, like I think that being able to show that process is
yes,
a historical way to do it. Consider you had an entire facility like somebody would have for tank maintenance. Would be much different.
Yeah, of
so
course. There are a bunch of tools. It's too bad that there are no tools with the AFV, because normally it would have steel boxes with a lot of tools.
Right.
I have purchased several of these boxes with tools, but all tools I never had any use for them. There are so many different tools to work on vehicles like this. That came with the Type 69. That's the stone that came with it.
It just came with the tank then?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, indeed. So I have to make some kind of support for it, so to take it somewhere if we take the tank somewhere.
Absolutely. Talking about historical provenance, that's a cool piece to have.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's also an interesting thing there.
What is this?
See.
What on earth is this?
This is a homemade tank.
Okay.
I built this for the Dutch army. Of course not for them to use in battle, but to attract young people for being engineer in the army.
Did it work?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it also, I don't think it drives anymore now, but of course it drove. It uses a hydraulic drive from a skid steer loader. So it has the and production gearboxes here with hydraulic motors on the side. These ones, of course, I have them cut, and also the tracks I have made myself. All the track links have been welded.
Fantastic.
The road wheels are mounted on Volkswagen Golf rear axles, so it even has suspension. And it uses a 3-cylinder diesel.
That's amazing. What do you call it?
The homemade tank.
You just call it the homemade tank?
Yeah, it doesn't have a special name.
Okay.
The gun, I made that for an earlier project, also for the army. Well, it's some kind of Gatling potato gun. So it uses compressed air. You see the container over there.
Yeah.
That's where the small tubes go in, which holds potatoes. So if you crank the handle, it's a rapid firing potato gun. So.
Fantastic. This was such a cool tour. Go check out Mastermilo's channel and see this project, see these vehicles in action. There's always a new cool project going on down in the shop there, and if you dug what you saw, go show him and his team some love at the links down below. I appreciate the time with him and with his team and with Robbie for filming. We'll be back here on my channel with new vehicles, new museum tours, new firearm stuff, so if you haven't already, subscribe here and I will see you next time.